Hey guys, this is the spoiler review. So if you haven't seen the movie and you want to still see it without any spoilers, don't watch this review. If you want to see my basic thoughts on the movie, I have my before and after reactions. I'm sorry it's so dark in this. This movie started at midnight and didn't get done until after 2 o'clock this morning. So I thought the movie was fine. It was okay. It wasn't spectacular. It's one of those, I don't know why I went and saw this at midnight the night it came out. I don't know why my wife agreed to go with me to something this crazy. She's normally in bed by like 9 o'clock, so this was kind of a big stretch for her. But it was fine. And I don't know if the time frame of us seeing it had to do anything with it either. Maybe it was so late at night it was kind of tiring to watch. But the movie doesn't feel like a big spectacle of a movie. It feels, you know, it feels more akin to, it's not, I'm going to say a movie and it's going to make you think this movie is absolutely dreadful, but it's sort of akin to the Fantastic Four: Rise of the Silver Surfer, where it has these set pieces. They go in Fantastic Four. They go to Germany and London, and then the that base, I think, in the Arctic, and then to China, where you're just seeing place, and you don't really get to grasp what's going on necessarily in some of these places. And suddenly the movie's over. Like, this movie felt rushed, and it felt like there was so much that could have been done with it more, like, more entertaining wise. This movie had some good moments, but it just had some weird boring times. There was some good humor in the movie, but it was just, I don't know, for a Marvel movie especially, it was real boring compared to some of the other ones. And when the action happens, the action's awesome, but the action's also like some of the weirder CGI I've seen from Marvel in the last couple of years. And given the premise, it kind of makes sense, sort of. So to run you guys who've stupidly decided to watch this video without watching the movie through, Peter Parker is going on a class field trip with his science class. Not a science class. I think it's the spelling decathlon team still, but or maybe it was the science decathlon team. Either way, from his group from Homecoming, who all just happened to be the ones that got snapped away by Thanos, minus Brad, who is now just kind of an asshat. He's older now. But they go on their trip. Peter doesn't want to be Spider-Man on his trip. He wants to just go and have fun with his friends. He wants to ask MJ out because he's got this big old plan for how he's going to go do it. And Ned's just like, oh no, let's be bachelors in Europe. They take off on the flight, and by the time the flight lands, Ned is dating this girl. Another inconsequential character, honestly. They get to Venice. Giant water monster attacks. They get saved by Mysterio, and Spider-Man helps him sort of. Fury's been trying to contact Spider-Man this entire time, and Fury finally kind of forces Spider-Man to have to confront him. If you've seen the trailers, you see the scene. If you've seen the trailers, you've seen the scene by which he does that. They go on this trip. They meet him. Mysterio says he's from another Earth, and that they're like his was destroyed by the elementals, and the elementals are coming into his Earth, or coming into our Earth, which a hole was caused by the snap. And then they have one more they have to stop. They stop it. Peter inherited these weird glasses from Tony that have, like, they're connected to the Stark satellite and a lot of other stuff. And Peter feels like it's too much power for him. He gives them to Mysterio, and like the moment he gives them to Mysterio and walks off, suddenly it turns out that Mysterio has been playing everybody. There's no other Earth, there's no elementals, it's all been holograms and invisible droids. So they it turns out in that last fight, MJ had followed Peter or followed where she thought Peter was, and one of the invisible drones had its camera torn off. She found it, and they find out that Mysterio is the bad guy. They find this out while they're on a bridge with Peter admitting that he's Spider-Man to MJ and admitting that he screwed up to do this. Now, with the glasses that Mysterio now has, he can control like all wireless devices. And so Peter can't call anybody for help. So then we cut to Peter like freaking out over the fact that he realizes that he got played by Mysterio. He needs to contact Fury. He goes and takes a train to Berlin. He goes to where Fury's supposed to be, and everything's an illusion there that Mysterio set up. Then Fury shoots Mysterio. Fury asks Peter who else knew about the illusions. Peter tells him. Then, oh no, it was Mysterio the entire time. Now, in this part, like with the illusions going on, I really actually liked Mysterio's illusions in this one. It was real psychological, and at the same time, it was really visually nice. And this is the part that my wife said was kind of like a Doctor Strange movie. The problem is, it looked so fake. Like, it looked so much like it was a video game cutscene that I was a little taken out by it. But then, Mysterio backs him up, and then turns out, oh, there's a train. Spider-Man gets hit by a bullet train, lives through it. For some weird reason, we take a trip to the Netherlands with him. Like, he finds his way into the train, passes out, wakes up in the Netherlands with just the most nice people in the world. Then Happy picks him up. Peter finds out that Mysterio is now going to like wipe out a bunch of people to make him think that he should be the next Avengers. Like, he is the next Iron Man who's going to save the world. And so Peter finds out his next spot is London, where all his friends got rerouted to because Mysterio is going to try to kill him. They go to London. Peter has a new suit. He defeats Mysterio. MJ and him have a kiss. At the end of the movie, they're just swinging on the rope together, like, or on his web slinging together. She's freaking out, and it's kind of cute. All of that, if you know who Mysterio is, the fact that he was tricking everyone, not a big surprise. You find out MJ finds out who Spider-Man is. Again, long term, not a big surprise. Spider-Man saves the day, not a big surprise. But then you cut to the mid-credit scene. It's Spider-Man finishing his swinging ride with MJ, and a news bulletin breaks in, and it shows this video that was leaked about Mysterio, where he claims that Spider-Man is the responsible for the attacks, and he tells the world that Spider-Man is really Peter Parker. And that was a big moment. Like, that's one of those, whew, like, it was crazy to see them expressing that Peter Parker was Spider-Man on live air. And it was also really awesome because it was done by the Daily Bugle the web news of the Daily Bugle. And the person who was voicing it was J. Jonah Jameson, and it showed him, and it was J.K. Simmons. And I was like, yes. But then we get to the end credit scenes, where it turns out Maria Hill and Nick Fury, this entire movie, have been two Skrulls. And it's not like they abducted him. It's that they are working for Fury to kind of fill in for him. So where he is, he's in space on a Skrull ship, just relaxing. So that's pretty much the movie in a nutshell. And this movie really actively tried to be like a flip of everything from Homecoming. So where in Homecoming, Peter really wanted to be an Avenger and he really wanted to have that big responsibility of being a big hero. In this one, people are constantly bombarding him with, well, Iron Man's dead, are you the next Iron Man? And he wants to just go back to being a friendly neighborhood Spider-Man. And you can see his anxiety towards all of it. And, in the first movie, how Happy Hogan just actively avoided Peter at all costs. Happy's the one that he calls when he's in trouble, and Happy shows up right away. He really loved his suit in the first one. This one, he actively chose not to take it, and then it was given to him by his aunt secretly in his luggage. Like, it's just every beat from this movie was the opposite of the first one. And even the villain in this one is kind of an opposite of the Vulture with Mysterio. Vulture lost his job because damage control from S.H.I.E.L.D., took his job away. Well, damage control is something different, but it's still a government agent took his stuff away. Where Mysterio in this movie is working with S.H.I.E.L.D., with a sort of government agent, and his enemy is actually Stark flat out, because Tony Stark's the one that fired him. And with that, the way this movie kind of backtracks on some weird things is that the biometric augmenting framing, no, retro framing, or BARF from Civil War is actually Beck's design. And then the guy who gets yelled at in the first movie by Obadiah Stane about Tony Stark building this in a cave with a box of scraps, he's one of the other guys that works for Mysterio. And it's cool, it's fun, it's neat or whatever, but at the same time, Tony was the one that made it in the movie. He says he's the one that made it, and Tony's never really been one to steal other people's ideas out of this. He even, in the second Iron Man movie, he's talking about how Ivan Vanko ripped off his idea for the arc reactor. So Tony's not one that even needs to steal other people's ideas. So you're kind of turning Tony into more of the villain in this movie than he needs to be immediately post his death. Plus, this movie is so much about Tony, it's kind of annoying, because Tom Holland's a fine Spider-Man. And this movie is the constant struggle of, is like everyone asking, is he going to be the next Iron Man? Is he going to be the next Iron Man? And Happy's just like, no, you're not going to be the next Iron Man. That's something impossible to fill. Even Tony couldn't fill those shoes, because Tony was always doubting himself and always doing this. And you're just like, Happy kind of explains the movie in a nutshell of, you are not Tony Stark. You are Spider-Man. You are someone who he thinks is going to be, or he thought was going to be better than him, and that's why he trusted you. So this movie pretty much solves that question, and then at the end of it, we're not worried. He's not even worried about him being the next Iron Man anymore. But the entire movie was about him wondering if he was going to be having to be the next Iron Man, if he's going to have to be the next Iron Man. And why would he have to say that? Like, he's Spider-Man, he's a separate person, he understands that. If you want the next Iron Man, it should be Rescue, technically, because Pepper's got the suit and everything. Or maybe even War Machine. But it's just, this movie just wallows so heavily in the, Tony Stark. And for the first, half hour of the movie, at least until they leave the U.S., even after that for parts of it, Iron Man is everywhere as far as his picture. So I get that the end of Endgame was amazing, it was cool, but they wallow in it so much in this movie, it's not even its own movie anymore. And that was one of the things with Homecoming, was Peter learned he didn't need Tony to be Spider-Man, and that he should be happy being a friendly neighborhood Spider-Man. where it just kind of throws that out the window. We're like, no, you need to be the next Tony Stark. You need to be the next Iron Man to save the world. And you're just like, come on. So, my thoughts numerically about this movie, probably, gosh, I flip-flop on what these numbers mean all the time. Because honestly, I'd probably give it a 3 out of 10. Just because it doesn't... It's so much like it should be a 90s movie. The feel of it feels like it should be a 90s, early 2000s movie, not being made in 2019. Well, not being released in 2019. And not following Infinity War and Endgame. Like, I don't know what's going to happen with Marvel right now. And I'm not super keen on what they've been doing so far. So, I will leave you with that thought of, where is Marvel going? This is the end of Phase 3. They evidently have Phase 4 and Phase 5 planned out. But after seeing this and the last movie before Endgame, Captain Marvel, I really have to wonder, do they really have it planned out? Or do they just intend to wallow in the original heroes? Well, thank you guys for listening. Sorry that it was so dark in here. It's 3 a.m. But I hope you guys enjoyed, and I hope you guys took something from it. Have a good day.